idea of inquiring mind, because I do find, that we all do have this amazing inquiring mind. We all are looking for higher cosmic peace or solution. But our journey where we begin, especially on a spiritual path, so many of us can be so caught into so-called I am the divine itself. In our Vedic practices, in our yogic Sankhya practices, we have the concept or the practice like Soham, I am divine, or Aham Brahmasmi, I am the creator, the pure, the cosmic consciousness itself. From the Bible, we have the concept of thyself, I am that divine. So these beautiful concepts are there, which are the end goals or the fruit of our sadhana to get to. But so many of us can be easily caught and believe like, oh, I'm just the divine, I'm perfect. So to me, whenever we are caught into I'm perfect, I have already attained the mastery or the siddha into my yoga, into my spirit, then actually it becomes unless we are really there. To me, when we look at also, and who has actually attained all the siddhis, all the masteries, all the skills and knowledge, he studied the Vedas, he already attained samadhi, he through his meditation, through his sadhana and chanting, he had the self-realization union with the Lord Shiva. So he actually had the realizations through his sadhana with so many of these greatest or the supreme divine consciousness, and he has been blessed with them. But still in this point at the middle of the battlefield, he finds himself deluded, he finds himself confused, and he actually does not come forward and tell Krishna that, I am divine, I'm cosmic spirit, and I'm fine, but I don't want to take part into the battle. He said, I don't want, or I cannot take part into the battle or in what I should be doing at this point because I'm confused. So to me, this whole idea of chapter 1, once the Arjuna starts to talk, is actually, he is so connected to his reality at that moment, and he accepts it. So you can, in a bullet points, you can say, accepting the reality. And the minute you accept it, also not being too caught into the problems itself, also then seeking for the solution. So he's not only realizing the problem, the pain, the suffering, and his confusion, but he also comes forward and he seeks for the answer. He seeks for the solution. He seeks for the clarity to understand or to find out what is right, what is wrong for him to do. A couple of really beautiful phrases from the translation of Gita for Gorakh phrase or Bhagavad Gita. To me, one of the definite sort of translation I would recommend if you can find it somewhere. It says that to find the solution for our physical, mental, and spiritual problems, one need to realize and accept the problem on the first place. And that can be many issue with many of us, that even though deep down we know the problem, but we deny it, we hide it, we escape from it. I get people coming and talking to me about the life problems, and the minute you start to suggest them how to think about it, they're like, oh no, I don't have a problem. They will talk their story, they will talk about the pain, but the minute you start to talk about it in the seeking for the solution, they had a completely different denial about it. So actually realizing, accepting the problem. And also from the therapeutic perspective, you see the diagnosis is far more important than the prescription or solution itself. Because if you don't really know what is the problem, what you're suffering with, then how can you treat that person? How can you treat that living being? How can you treat or heal yourself? So knowing the problem, the diagnosis, acceptance, or putting it out to say, this is the problem, let's look for the solution. And obviously, as I said, seeking for the solution, because so here Arjuna is not only suffering with the problems or confusion or despair, but he accepts it, he puts them forward to Krishna, and then he's seeking for the solution. To me, he got all 3 points in place in the first chapter. So you know that there is a problem, you accepting it, you admitting it, and you are happy to talk it through to the person who is there to give you or offer you solution. And then at the end, you are also open, you are seeking, you are desiring to look for the solution. For me, many people actually admit that they have problem, but they don't really want a solution because the problem itself can be an addiction, or it can be sympathetic, it can bring so much other benefits that in unconsciously we don't even recognize them. And to me, another amazing thing, that when I look at the first chapter, as it begins, so quite a few of the verses, I think it's up to like 12th or 13th, is the Duryodhana, he was the one talking. Now the whole Bhagavad Gita, again, it's a narration, or it's actually the teachings were explained, detailed by Sanjay. So the Sanjay is another guy, he was the charioteer of the blind king Dhritarashtra. He was blessed with the Divya Drashti, or this precognition, where he can see what's happening, he can hear everything from and see from the distance. So he was given this Divya Drashti, this ability to see and experience what is happening beyond him. So he was listening, he was seeing every event as it was happening, and then he was narrating it to the blind king Dhritarashtra. Now, what I do find quite interesting is worth to mention here, just before the actual Bhagavad Gita teachings, or the battle begins, in one of the last chapters before the Bhishma Parva, I think it might be into the 15th or 16th, in the 14th or 15th chapter somewhere, where this blind king Dhritarashtra and the Sanjay, his charioteer, they both were having a little discussion. And in this discussion, the blind king Dhritarashtra asks his own fellow, this Sanjay, his charioteer, he said, "Well, Sanjay, do you also think that I am in the side of Adharma?" So this guy Sanjay looked back at him, and he said, "Oh, what do you think, my dear king? How do you feel about it?" And he said, "Yes, well, it just does feel like I have done injustice. I have been unfair to the Pandavas. I have been unfair to so many people in different situations because of my own ego, or my own sort of, I guess, the desire to be the king, or me being caught into the crown, or being into the power." And also he said, "My attachment, or my indulgence, or my desire to see my son ruling or being the greatest of the king also become the hindrance in my life." So it's quite interesting, even though the king himself, he is quite wise, he has the wisdom, and he does know that he is on the side of the non-righteousness, or he's on the side of adharma. But because of that greed, or that selfish desire, the selfish expectation of something to achieve, something to become, overriding his own wisdom, his own intuition. So he said, "Well, I do know that I am wrong. My sons are wrong, and I don't really have any hope of winning this battle. But somehow, still in my heart, I hope that things may go in the way I expect them, the way I feel they should be, or way I desire for them." And he said that hope always overriding this righteousness. And this is what happens, so this is the pride, the ego, the self-indulgence sort of overrides, or viveka, or reasoning, or the wisdom that we all have. So to me, is another amazing thing I take from the first chapter is the totally different perspective of the two of the princes. So the Duryodhana, he begins the chapter 1, and he talks about the greatest of the warrior from the both sides, and he's narrating them to his guru Dronacharya. I guess it's trying to motivate them, or just trying to show them like what we got is far more greater than what our opposition had. And he said, oh, while I got you, my dear, my divine, the most powerful guru, Dronacharya, and while I have Bhisma in my side, two of these people, they actually have blessings, or they have the boons of being victorious in each and every situation. So he said, oh, while I got you two, I can never lose the battle. So he is so caught into his pride, and he's already fixed that he is going to win the battle because of all these warriors in his side. But like the Arjuna, he does the same thing. He asked Krishna. He said, "Can you please take me in middle of the two armies?" And Krishna like, okay, why? What would you like to do? He said, "Oh, I just want to see and witness or observe the both armies and each and everyone." So to me, in one, the Duryodhana's perspective of talking about them is his own pride or his own attachment. He's looking for how he will benefit from them. Or like the Arjuna, he just wants to witness these people. He wants to see them. He wants to experience them before the battle begins, or before he has to kill so many of them into this battlefield. So to me, this is the idea, the beautiful concept we practice of the victim or the witnessing awareness. So the Duryodhana is a victim here, the victim awareness, that me, poor thing, and everyone should fight from my side and let me win. But the Arjuna, he has the witnessing awareness to see, or to have the ability to experience what is right and what is wrong. So he's trying to see, to see what is right in this situation for him to move forward with.